2, 3, 4! Live internet radio, you can't beat it. It's the Mike Sasson Show live on Facebook Live. Are we live with both of us? That was very important because we did previously something, and I'll be honest with you, that first 5 minutes, no one's ever going to hear that again.
No one cares.
No one cares. That was it was me just watching Alex, but more or less just look at like her computer screen, just completely distraught by the fact that the computer was going wrong, because like it showed when we tested it that there was pictures of you, but now all of a sudden it just stopped. It didn't want to work anymore.
It was like, no, Alex is not. She's not ready yet.
Yes, that she wasn't ready yet.
My face was just. Ugh.
Yeah, your face was but my face, it broke the damn computer. Anyways, it's the Mike Sasson Show live on Facebook Live, or also we're on www.riversedgepgh.com, or on TuneIn Radio, or on iTunes, or on SoundCloud, Google Play. I am Michael Sasson. That is Alex Clemens, Internet Radio Hall of Famer, class of 2030. You can catch her signing autographs at the Internet Radio Hall of Fame, which is currently outside of a Jack in the Box in Fresno, California. It's a wonderful place. Bring the kids. This week, we're going to be talking about Van Halen's 40th anniversary, and I made Alex watch some Van Halen videos where she, that's her penance for being on this show. She has to occasionally watch music from 30 years ago and comment on how much she's not a huge fan. Also, we're going to be talking about how lawmakers are now trying to get rid of the pods, which, again, I've talked about this before, is a bad idea. We're also going to be talking about the Super Bowl. You live in a world right now where Tom Brady has lost 3 Super Bowls, and one of them was to Nick Foles, which I think is a good thing. Also, we're going to be talking about how Quincy Jones said some really weird, outrageous stuff involving one of the greatest comedians of all time, and we'll be talking about that. Also, Teacher of Merit. We're going to have a Teacher of Merit because someone's trying to get an online degree and proving again, don't try to get an online degree because you don't know who you're getting your online degree from. Again, my name's Mike Sasson, and there is Alex Clemens.
Hey, guess what, Mike?
What's up?
Something really exciting happened to me this week.
What really happened to you?
I was recognized.
No.
Yeah.
You were.
I was at work. This was really good, too, because it was in front of my boss.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, wow, I got a hot commodity on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at work, and I was ringing someone out, and they were like, hey, you're Alex. And I was like, yeah?
Do you have a name tag?
No.
Okay, so, I mean, again, if you have the name tag, then that's kind of happens. But they say, oh, you're Alex. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, how do you know that? Not like, do I know you from somewhere? Something like that. I was just like, how do you know who I am?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I know you from the podcast. I thought you looked familiar. And I was like, oh, my God, I've made it. I was like, do you want me to sign an autograph for you?
And he was like, no.
No, I didn't actually ask him that. I was just going to slip him one.
That's cool.
And just be like, here
you go. I mean, and I know it's, sometimes I get depressed by myself because I sit there and the pod, every time someone asks you like how the show is going, I'm going to answer great because it still exists. That's when you know that you have a successful podcast / internet radio show, which, by the way, it's an internet radio show. We just proved that it's not a podcast. If it was a podcast, we'd have had no stress. We'd have had no like, oh, whatever, the thing doesn't work. Let's just wait and then record 10 minutes from now. Who cares? But since it's an internet radio show and we're showing it live on Facebook Live, there's a little bit of stress.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say it's an internet radio show. But like, okay, I'll give you another one. Jason Clark, who, along with Aaron Kleiber, invited me on the special 5th anniversary edition of the Stand Up Get Down, 5th anniversary of the Arcade Comedy Theater.
Ooh.
Jason came up afterwards and said, hey, watch the show, listen to the show. Everything's going great. You guys are getting really, really good. I mean, like when he goes, you were good before, but you're really, really getting great. And Alex is absolutely knocking it out of the park.
Just a real showstopper.
A real showstopper.
You use those words, right? Because that's what everyone says to me normally.
That you're a showstopper?
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with them. Yeah, I'm not arguing with them. Again, let's review some thank yous that I had before on the part of the show that will never exist ever again. Thank you to Liz Tripoli and Brian Crawford for inviting me to headline a comedy event for the Millville Music Festival, May 12th. It's coming up. Unbelievable. We're looking forward to that. Also, I want to thank T-Robe for inviting me to watch soccer moms twerk and do comedy.
Because why wouldn't you want to watch that?
Why wouldn't I want to watch soccer moms twerk?
That's what I want to do every weekend.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun thing. Also, I want to thank, again, a lot of other people just for listening. Again, you're listening on www.riversedgepgh.com or on TuneIn Radio, or you're listening on one of the podcast formats, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, or you're watching us live on Facebook Live. Again, as I mentioned before, we live in a world where Tom Brady's the GOAT, the greatest quarterback of all time, has lost 3 Super Bowls. Last week, the Patriots lost to the Nick Foles-led Philadelphia Eagles. And as we were talking last week, because we recorded before the Super Bowl.
Yes. And we had no idea what happened at that point.
We didn't know.
It was beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why we didn't know.
It was crazy.
Anyways, one of the things that I liked about it was, for a Pittsburgh fan, it was a tough one, because it's like, all right, Philly, they're scumbags. I don't want them to win. But, the New England Patriots are the personification of evil on the planet Earth. It's not like I wanted them to win.
Right.
So I let my heart dictate where I wanted to go. And I think the game ended exactly how a Pittsburgh fan would want to end. The Patriots lost, which is always great. Tom Brady dropped the ball and made him look like he's 192 years old, which is always fun. He looked like a fool. And then Philadelphia did win, but then they rioted and burned stuff and looted a Wawa. And so, again, made everyone understand just that it's a city of scumbags. And so, again, for the entire city of Pittsburgh and everyone else in the known world, it was the best case scenario.
It's kind of like nothing really even happened.
Yeah, it's just, but
everything just went back to normal.
Yeah, everyone think back to normal. Steelers are still number 1 with 6 Super Bowls, and we're all good there. Now, one thing I want to touch upon is I did text you after the game, because you posted something on social media in which you seemed very distraught.
I was so distraught.
You were in front of, I think, a laundry pair.
Laundry pair?
Or like a laundry, like you were.
Is that what they call them?
I don't know.
Oh.
I sell the things for 6 years and I don't know what they're called. Anyways, you were sitting like in your laundry room and you looked very distraught, and you were just like, when can football be over? Tell me what happened that got you to that point.
It was so loud. It was so loud. And it's not like there's like 50 of us watching the game. Like, it was just like 4 of us. And I went for food, and, to see my family, because the food was delicious.
Okay, your boyfriend did it up.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he did it up. And I went to see my family because it's like the one day of the week that I actually have time to see them. Mm-hmm. So I sat through a lot of it. I tried to stare at the TV for a little while too.
What'd you think of Justin Timberlake's performance?
It was a lot. I feel like I really didn't like the first 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was. It seemed like it went on.
Yeah, it seemed like it went on for a half hour.
I think the first 5 minutes was like so many things happening at once that it was just like, it was too much for me. I feel like the end of it was a little bit like more simplified. And so I was like, okay, like I can actually listen to the music and there's not like 50,000 lights and people doing all these things at once.
Here's my take about Justin Timberlake. And I think he's a great performer, but he's not a big enough star to have been on that stage.
Oh, I don't believe that.
He didn't have enough great, amazing songs to be at the level of Paul McCartney, Beyonce, Prince, the Rolling Stones, Tom Petty, that level of performer that they had there previously.
Yeah.
He was good, but he's not at that level, and I think it showed in the performance.
Who would you have suggested?
See, again, I'm a 41-year-old dude. I mean, I would have loved to have seen like the band that we're talking about. That Metallica, I would admit, would be a little rough. I think they could play. Here's how I always say: could you play 3 songs that everyone would know? If Metallica were playing it, they'd have to play Enter Sandman, which I think most people would like. Then they'd have to play like something like Nothing Else Matters, and then they'd have to probably end with Seek and Destroy or something, which is too hardcore. I admit Metallica wouldn't be good for the Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah.
One band that I do like that I think would do great there would be Guns N' Roses, because I think if they play Welcome to the Jungle, then they play Sweet Child O' Mine, and then they close with Paradise City. everyone's happy. That's a great song. That's a great concert.
See, I think it'd be a lot cooler if they did more of like a variety show. So they had like multiple things happening at once. Like they had some music playing or something. They had like a comedian, and they had like crazy dancers, or like, I don't know. I feel like if they had multiple things happening, like that would be really cool. They had segments of it, so it's not just one person singing for like 14 minutes long.
One show that's the closest that has come to, because usually you have guests and all that. Like, I think, to be honest with you, I think that if Justin Timberlake had bit the bullet and just brought back the other people from NSYNC.
Yeah, obviously. That's what everyone was waiting for,
and wanted like
too.
5 minutes of NSYNC, that would have been, and again, I'm comfortable in my own masculinity. That'd have been cool.
We were all waiting for it. And then at the end, you were just like, okay.
Again, he's not a big enough star. If you would have done the NSYNC the one time and they would have played a couple NSYNC songs, that would have been. But he's not. He wants to promote himself and all that kind of stuff. I get it. Whatever.
The one thing is, though, still looks great. Still a good performer. Like,
yes, I'm not dogging him as a performer.
Any dancing ability at all.
You don't think he has any?
No, I said he hasn't lost any dancing ability.
He
got the moves.
He's 37. He's not like 57.
Moves. Yeah, but like you dance for so long, you're like, ooh, you get tired.
The worst dancing that I ever saw in the Super Bowl, I think Madonna did it one year, and it was the year she brought on LMFO or whatever, that band with like, I'm sexy and I know it, that kind of thing. And she looked like a mom dancing at a middle school dance. And it just didn't look good.
I love that.
You love dancing at middle school dances?
Yeah.
You're going to be that mom dancing at the middle school.
I am that
You're
mom
going to twerk
already.
in front of your 13-year-old daughter.
I'm not going to twerk in front of them. Ain't no one twerking at middle school dances. Maybe these days, but not in my days.
Yeah. In the future, that'll be kind of like doing the shuffle. That'll be like the go-to. And you'll be like, hey, I'm still dancing. And your daughter will be like, oh, Mom, I hate you. You're embarrassing me.
We did strictly line dances at all of my middle school dances.
Really?
Strictly line dances.
You did country line dancing.
Not country line dancing.
Oh.
Just regular line dancing.
I never knew there was any other type of line dancing.
Like that song. What's that song? I can do the dance to it right now. I can't think of what the song is.
Okay. Well, we'll do an outtake of the Mike Sasson Show later, and we'll show that on your social media, you doing that line dancing.
Absolutely.
And we will.
I'm totally for it.
But so it was too loud, you're saying, so you just had to leave the room?
It was so loud. It's like I understand when it's like when you're screaming that much, when it's your team, but when it's not your team.
But people hate the Patriots so much in this town.
Why?
Because if it wasn't for the Patriots and their perceived lack of morals, the Steelers might have minimum 3 more Super Bowls. Okay, if it wasn't for Deflategate and it wasn't for Spygate and it wasn't for, Robert Kraft being a corporate raider, and if it wasn't for Bill Belichick being an android, and if it wasn't for Tom Brady being, just a no fun, no personality, freaking cheating scumbag, then there's a good chance that the Steelers have, instead of 6 Super Bowls, maybe 9.
See, I just thought it would be a nice Super Bowl where we can just watch it. We don't really care that much, we care. But, it's just I just want to watch people play football. I just want to watch football.
Yeah.
But
your mom and sister are into it, so it's not like a...
My mom almost won $500.
Okay.
But she wasn't even, that's not why she was screaming at the TV.
She hates the Patriots.
Yeah, and she didn't win $500, but she was like, I don't care, as long as the Patriots didn't win. I was like, I would much rather have $500.
This is where my mom is. 4 days after the Super Bowl, she calls me up. And she sits there and goes, Michael, I had numbers 4 and 8. Did I win any money in the Super Bowl? And it's 4 days, it's Thursday of this week. And I'm just I check of every quarter, and I'm like, no, Mom, you didn't win any money.
Shucks.
And she just goes,
she's so into it.
So that's a shame. And I go, Mom, you have she has Alexa, she has a cell phone. She has, now I told you before, she has a MacBook Air. She has all of this stuff, and she clearly had to call me to ask if she would want any money.
Yeah.
So.
But no, my laundry room, it still didn't help. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should just go sit outside, but it was freezing. I'm not gonna go sit outside, So I got laundry done.
There
So
you go.
That is a plus.
But now football is over.
Now football's kind of
So
over.
now your
It's
Sundays
never really
are
over.
Well, I mean, it's never. Now they're into the combine and the drafting, and so
It's not like people stop talking about it.
and then obviously the second signing day of college football was this past week. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff still to talk about. Coaches getting hired. My old offensive line coach was actually stuck in a situation. I have to check. Coach DeGuglielmo, who was one of my offensive line coaches when I was at the University of Connecticut, got hired as the new offensive line coach for the Indianapolis Colts. Pretty cool. And what was going to happen is the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots was going to become the head coach, and they had worked together when my coach was with the New England Patriots and actually won a Super Bowl. And but then a day after the Super Bowl, the guy decided he wanted to stay in New England.
He was like, haha, nope.
Nope. And so again, but that screws over my coach maybe because he was with San Diego or now LA. So he's a coach in Los Angeles. He's going to move to Indianapolis, become the head coach, signed a contract, and now all of a sudden maybe he's not going to be the offensive line coach anymore.
Aww.
So again, this guy, part of the Patriots scumbaggery, that's how it works. So
I guess
we go from there. But right now, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to be doing bar thoughts and experiences with Alex, where she's going to be talking about her great trip to the Poconos. Then later on, I'm going to be doing my 5 takes. We're going to do Teacher of Merit because literally anyone who's getting an online degree needs to talk to whoever is giving you said degree because the University of Southern New Hampshire might need to be discredited as a degree-granting institution after this story. Also, Alex is going to review the band Van Halen on their 40th anniversary of their debut album. It's the Mike Sasson Show. We'll be right back with Alex's Bar Thoughts and Experiences. Remember, you're listening to The River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com. We'll be right back.
Brian Crawford letting you know that Kevin Slogic, my State Farm agent in Allison Park, is here to help life go right and reminds you that you're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hey, River's Edge listeners, Alex here from the Mike Sasson Show, and boy, have I got to tell you about Salon 22, a small local business located right here in Millville. I got my hair colored there about 2 weeks ago, and I still can't stop staring at myself. They use this awesome new technique called color melting to make me look like a mermaid. But don't worry, if mermaid hair isn't your thing, they'll meet all your hair goals, with things like balayage, rose gold, unicorn hair, ombre, as well as monochromatic color, which is your standard basic coloring. Seriously, they do it all, and they do it good. Check Salon 22 out on Facebook and mention this ad when you make your appointment to receive a free color lock service to help preserve your color. It's a $20 value for free. I'm not kidding. Book your appointment now by calling 412-822-7222. That's 412-822-7222.
Again, it's the Mike Sasson Show live on Facebook Live, or as we always are on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. on www.riversedgepgh.com, or you're listening on one of the podcast formats on Google Play, SoundCloud, or iTunes, or you're listening on the TuneIn radio app across the planet Earth. One more shout out I forgot is, I did it the first time, but not the second time. Shannon Norman, who was here last week, was recording his album. I was at his recording at Club Cafe, and also afterwards when I did my shows, I went to the one in Hambones. Absolutely crushed it. Get Shannon Norman's album when it comes out. He's an incredible performer, and he did an amazing job this past weekend. So congratulations to Shannon.
Did he decide on a name?
He has not decided on a name, but there's like
I thought that maybe doing it would give him inspiration.
There was a couple ideas that I had for him, that a couple things that he had, but he probably not going to take
Definitely
any.
Go with your ideas.
But someone who should go with her own ideas, which are always drinking and having fun.
Drinking and having fun.
It's Alex with Bar Thoughts and Experiences. Play your theme song.
Oh, I lost it.
There's technical difficulties this whole freaking show.
Should I sing it?
Pizza.
Just kidding, I found it.
There it is. Go.
Thank God.
This next song is it's a love song, actually.
Okay.
It's a love song.
It's a love song.
Did you know that?
Yes, it's
This
about
is
pizza.
a love song about pizza, really.
I know. When you brought me this song, you were just like, "Hey, Mike, there's this love song about pizza," and I'm like, "Dear God, why?" And you're like, "No, it's my theme song." I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
I feel like I could really feel the bass today.
It is.
Can you feel it?
I can feel something. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. So I went to the Poconos this
You
weekend.
did to the Poconos. It's like a honeymoon
Pocono, you
place.
didn't.
The Poconos.
I only said that about 6 times.
What? The honeymoon thing?
Pocono, you didn't.
Yeah. One of us is a comedian.
Anyways, that was my Bertha. Just wanted to let everyone know
Pocono.
my creative little
You just
pun
dropped.
there.
Someone dropped the glass in the thing. Go Pocono, you didn't.
Yeah, that was my main reason for being there.
And everyone just was like, "Get out."
Yeah. Okay, bye. That's all I needed.
Yep.
No, it was my sister's. Well, my sister's birthday is on Wednesday, also Valentine's Day. I know.
Ooh,
You might have
congratulations for her
forgotten.
turning 23 years old.
Yes,
That's right.
Younger than me,
That's right.
my older sister.
Turning 12 years old. Turning 37 years old. I don't know.
So we went for her birthday weekend. We went with like a bunch of her friends
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, and me and Zach went along. I was like a little nervous about it. I didn't know any of these people.
Uh-oh.
Besides her boyfriend, I didn't know any of these people.
Were these New York people coming
Yeah,
down?
they were New York people.
Uh-oh, New York people.
Well, not all of them are from New York.
But they live there now.
They do.
Dun dun. So they might not understand small town folk like us.
Small town folk like us. They understand my sister, so
I know, but she's up there. She lived in
like
New
a
York.
big city folk now.
She was living in New York for a while, so she had that credential because she lived in the Harlem and the Queens.
the Harlem.
That's right.
The
Harlem and the Queens.
Yeah, so I was a little nervous about it, but everyone ended up being super cool, and all we did was basically like stay in the house and drink, and we like ordered food both nights, and we went outside of the house for a little bit on Saturday. We went to like get lunch and go to an antique store. The town that we were in is called Milford, PA, so it is like a small town, you know? It was adorable. Adorable.
There you go.
I would go back there.
Good. There, the Poconos area vacation spot
Poconos.
organization should be paying Alex for this stamp of approval.
They really should. Like, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go skiing and stuff like that. And it was so much more fun just to stay in our house and drink all night. And that's mainly my bar thought, is that you should just not go to the bar sometimes, because really, what are you going to the bar for besides, like, if you want to meet people, like if you want to meet a dude or meet a girl, like that's really the only reason for going there. If you're just with a bunch of your friends, like what's the point of going? Because you're just going to be all of you guys just in a different place. So why not just like play music and drink for a lot cheaper at your house?
Little bit of and this is weird because I spend most of my life in bars because of comedy. I don't like bars.
No. The guy who doesn't drink doesn't like bars.
Yeah, they're
I would've
very
never
loud
guessed.
typically, and it's not. If given the choice, I would rather with my friends hang out in a comfortable couch and watch TV, eat pizza, play video games, throw stuff at the walls, do whatever I got to do. So that's an absolutely wonderful.
It was
thing.
so nice though, because we got all dressed up to go out because we were going to go to this bar, and we got all dressed up and everything, and then we're like, it was too hard to get to the bar and get home because we're in kind of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we're just like, and we did a photo shoot, and like we took a all girls photo. We look like the Spice Girls.
Awesome.
It's incredible.
Do you have the picture available?
Not at this exact moment, but
Okay,
I will totally post on our
I think
Instagram.
you need to absolutely post that.
Because we're the Spice Girls.
There you go. And they're coming back on tour.
Yeah.
I know.
I like the Spice Girls, but not enough to really care.
Okay.
I can just listen to their
Then
old
you don't
music.
really care that I booked them on the... No. But...
Are they coming out with new music?
I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't really categorize what they had before as music. But now one thing you did bring up is the fact, and I completely agree, and I was watching, as I mentioned before, I binged watched all the comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock had a great point, as he said one time, he was talking to Jerry Seinfeld. He goes, really, when you're talking about a great meal, it's really about the company.
Right.
Because he goes, and his quote was, a T-bone steak with an asshole is a terrible night. A great friend and a hot dog is a great meal.
That's true.
That's how it is. And it's the same thing with drinking.
Really adorable.
Yeah, if you're drinking with a jerk, you could, and it's the best drink in the world, it's still a crappy night.
Yeah.
But if you have just a couple beers with some friends of yours and you're laughing and you're having the good time, it's all good.
It's all good in the hood. That was like really cute.
Thank
that made
you.
me want to like cry.
I think I make you cry at least 2 or 3 times on the inside, mostly for sad reasons, like,
Yeah.
oh, Mike.
Why am I here? What's the point of my life anymore?
Yeah, really. That's pretty much what I think most of the time anyway. Thank you very much. Is that all with your bar thought?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, today's bar thought was about friends. Now it's
what it's always about.
It's always about friends. Anyways, this TV show mostly. Now it's my 5 takes. Play my song. It's the most brutal song ever. Good you didn't lose mine.
I would never.
Never lose it. Anyways, my 5 takes. So this week, Amy Schumer came out with her trailer for the movie that she's going to do this summer called I Feel Pretty. So we're going to post up the poster for it.
Post it up.
Now, did you see the trailer, or at least see what's it about?
Didn't.
Okay.
What? Can you tell me?
So essentially what it's about is Amy Schumer's living in New York City because she refuses to ever leave New York. Even though the last one, apparently she was in like some other place with Goldie Hawn and no one saw the movie. But
So she has to be in New York.
yeah, so this one she's like, okay, if I'm going to make a movie that fails, I'm going to just live in my apartment. So she's in New York and she plays a big city girl who's not really happy with how she looks. And so she's always trying to diet and everyone's making her feel bad because she's not the most attractive person in the world and all this kind of stuff. So then the point is that she hits her head and she gets some sort of amnesia, and when she wakes up, she looks in the mirror and loves what she sees. So she walks around like she's the hottest piece of,
But she's still the same.
She's still the same. And so the point being is that, you know what, it's all about attitude. It's all about how you own it. And, all these great things happen because in her mind, she just changed the point that instead of thinking she was ugly, she thinks she's the hottest thing on 2 legs. And so the world becomes her oyster.
How is there a whole movie about this?
Well, that's for another time.
That sounds like it would be maybe 2 minutes long.
Well, watch the trailer. Full disclosure, I didn't even come close to cracking a smile once. But here's the point that I have to make. Amy Schumer's in a tough spot because the next day, a feminist comedian came out and she said, I'm sick and tired of Hollywood trying to play this part of telling us what is beautiful and what isn't beautiful. And Amy Schumer, in the classic sense, outside of Hollywood, is an attractive woman, but we're told that she's ugly and she's fat because she's not the quintessential beautiful, Hollywood actress. This is crap. I hate this and all this kind of stuff. And again, all we saw was the trailer.
Yeah.
And I just sat there when I watched this and I went, you know what? Amy Schumer is in a tough spot because she's making a movie. She's trying to make a point. That's fine. You know how good the movie is. We'll see what happens in the summer when it gets released. But no one is asking Will Ferrell to make a point when he makes a movie.
Right.
No one's asking Jerry Seinfeld to make a point. No one's asking, whomever, whoever makes comedic movies anymore. I don't think there are any. Anyways, the point being is she's in a tough spot because she's trying to do something and she's getting attacked from the side that she thinks is actually she's helping with, but actually they're even getting up against her. Because again, there's a good percentage of people because of her politics and because of who she is that already dislike her. And now another group might dislike her.
There's no way to win.
There's no way to win.
Never any way to
That's
win.
why I wrote down.
Just don't make a stance on anything.
Yeah.
Just try not to exist, basically.
Yeah,
And then you're good.
Amy, you should just make the most quintessential silly comedy movie ever. You should just make a movie where it's like, Amy Schumer is a clown that goes and becomes president. Whatever. Do whatever.
Aww.
You'd watch that. There
Yeah.
you go. Clown prez. Hey. The second one. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago when the whole Tide Pods phenomenon happened.
Yeah, it's still going.
It's still going, and I said, you know what, the stupid have won, and now we all have to act accordingly. And I made the joke that we should just let the kids who want to eat the tide because it's natural selection. Let's get rid of them, and we'll go from there. As I mentioned before, the stupid have won, and we all have to make the adjustments. So guess right now what's happening. Some New York State legislators are actually writing letters and trying to maybe drum up some support to force Procter & Gamble, the makers of the Tide Pods, to change how they make them because they're just too damn appealing. They actually released the picture that we showed, which compares them to gummy bears.
Yeah, like same thing. Same thing. You know, it's if you were eating gummy bears in the package, you know? Are people cutting open Tide Pods to eat them? I don't know. But looks like mouthwash or toothpaste to me, and we don't eat that.
No, you don't.
We don't eat that.
You don't
put it in your mouth for a little while, and then you spit it right back out.
Yeah, that's how Alex does it.
I don't know if that would be, like, Tide Pods would kill you still if you just...
It's soap. It's soap and chemicals. So, again, it would just be like putting, like, Ligric detergent into your mouth.
I just, I don't really know the solution to this, just other than...
Let it go away.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll go away. Eventually, it'll just stop.
I feel like the fact that everyone's making such a big deal out of it now is just making it worse because everyone's like, I kind of want to try Tide Pods now.
It's soap. You ever eaten soap?
I kind of want to know.
But that's one of the things about like certain consumer products that people have to understand is that like when you're developing a like laundry detergent, I bet you someone has to sit there and be like, well, what happens if a kid drinks it? And they're like, I don't know. It'll probably get really sick. Like,
that's why there's like warnings on there.
Yeah. Or like, you see the warning on the pizza boxes is frozen, heat up first. And you're like, really? Someone has to put that on there? I bet you someone at one time tried to eat the pizza frozen and they went back to the supermarket and went, this is the worst pizza I've ever had in my life. It was frozen. And like, it's frozen pizza. Like, well, where is that on the box? And then someone had to go, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So, again, it never ends. Number 3, like you have the TV show The Goldbergs, which is about 80s nostalgia. I watched like 10 minutes of it. I hated it because every joke is literally just like, because I've got an Atari, because I'm watching MTV and the new Cyndi Lauper videos coming. I'm just like, this isn't a joke. This is just, someone's just trying to make someone who grew up in the 80s feel good, great, whatever. Well, guess what? Now we're getting into 90s nostalgia.
Hell yeah.
There's a TV show on Netflix called Everything Sucks. And like they show in the trailer that they're trying to break down like Nirvana's, Teen Spirit. And they're trying to, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And they're trying to talk about Alanis Morissette and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, A, this makes you feel old because you're like, are we up to now when I was in high school? Geez, we're there in terms of the nostalgia. Because I remember when I was a kid, there was the Wonder Years and it was about the 60s. So it was just like,
yeah.
But the funny thing about it is like if you take the Wonder Years and you take the Goldbergs and you take, I Bet You Everything Sucks, 90% of what happens in childhood is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is how nice your TV is, how nice your phone is, and like what kind of clothes your mom's wearing.
You just have like a couple different references.
Yeah, you just have a couple. You could literally take some like Wonder Years scripts and change the music to Alanis Morissette and the fact that they all have cable TV, and I bet you $20 nothing would change. Nothing would change about most of the scripts. And he could change about the war. Instead of it saying, oh, Johnny's going to Vietnam, you could say, oh, Johnny's going to the Gulf War. Whatever. Nothing changes. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Number 2, another thing I constantly say is keep non-comedians away from trying to do comedy. When it happens, nothing good happens. So that's why I always say, when anybody ever tries to be funny and they fail miserably, keep comedy to the professionals. Another proof of this is ex-football player Christian Furia. He used to play for the Patriots, so again, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
He's up in Boston, and Tom Brady's agent and is named a man named Don Yi, who is actually of Chinese descent. Now, apparently someone pretended to be Don Yi and texted a Boston news reporter who thought it was Don Yi, and he reported that I had an interview with Don Yi. And guess what? He didn't. It was someone, I guess, I don't think that's catfishing, but you just pretended to be Don Yi saying, oh, yes, this is what Tom Brady wants, and he's looking at it and all this kind of stuff. So, again, because Don Yi is of Chinese descent, Christian Furia decides on the radios to start doing a stereotypical Asian accent on the radio. And I'm sitting there, and they're all laughing it up and thinking it's just comedy gold. If there was one comedian in that room, they would have stopped in 2 seconds. Instead, they had a bunch of jocks and a radio guy who has no idea what funny is. One comedian in that room would have sat there and went, no. They were just giving you no, don't do that. That's not good. Don't do that. But again, these people never have to leave that room. And the only reason why he's there is because at one point he was a good enough tight end to catch passes for the Patriots. So he gets to be on, sports talk radio in Boston. And so essentially proving again, leave the comedy to the professionals.
This guy looks like he should be a dentist.
Well, he's like sometimes when you're an ex-football player, what happens is you lose all the weight and all that other kind of good stuff.
Yeah, he looks like a dentist.
Yeah, well, he should become
maybe
a dentist.
Should do that.
Yeah, maybe you should do that. Stay away from broadcasting. And number one, as I mentioned, you just can't win sometimes. The CEO of PepsiCo, who happens to be a woman, it's related to the story, Alex.
Okay.
So she's getting interviewed and she's talking about products that are coming out. And one thing she's talking about is they are in development to produce Doritos that are specifically for women.
What?
Basically, they said that the Doritos would have less orange, crust, less orange dust on them. And also they wouldn't be as loud because they say that when interviewing women and talking to women that some of them don't like to make a lot of noise.
What the hell? How do you make chips less loud?
Well, that's why they have marketers and people in labs and up in Cranberry, they have the Heinz plant. That's what they do. Tell you a quick story. So when I used to work for a bank, a guy came in and was sitting down with me and we're working on his account. And it turns out he worked for H.J. Heinz. I'm like, oh, what do you do for H.J. Heinz? He goes, oh, I work in the test kitchen. And I go, you know what? I always look up there and think that you're coming out with the most incredible technical stuff and all this other kind of stuff. I couldn't imagine what you guys are doing up there. And he just deadpanly just goes, mayonnaise. We're working on a Heinz mayonnaise. Whoa. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
This loudness thing, that would be the literal worst job in the world for me. I hate listening to people chew or noises,
But you actually would be the best thing because, again, if they hire you to say, okay, we've got to come up with a chip that's not as loud.
Then I'd be super critical.
Yeah, you'd be nope, that's too loud.
I would be okay with it. I feel weird that it's directed towards women. Why doesn't everyone want chips that are less loud just women?
But here's the point I'm trying to make. If she wouldn't have admitted this and just would have called it, Doritos,
less loud.
Well, just go. They wouldn't have called it Doritos Light or something. They would have probably called it Doritos Ultra or something like that or something. And they would have had a couple women having fun in the thing. They're like, oh, it's Doritos Ultra. It's the chip that you eat when you're out on the town or something like that. No one would have noticed that they were directing the marketing towards women.
See, I feel like it was probably women saying that they don't like them to be loud, but they don't want to hear other people chewing like that, Maybe
that's
probably it should be directed towards men. Be let's get them to shut up with their chewing and get them some less loud chips.
Maybe that's a point. And
then they won't get their cheesiness everywhere.
Well, maybe make Doritos, again, you make Doritos Ultra and it doesn't have the dust on it. And you make the commercial in which the woman's sitting there and trying to listen to something and the husband is, and they'll be then you hand him a bag of Doritos Ultra and it's not as loud.
Oh my God, we just thought of their commercial.
But that's the point, is the fact that for instance, recently they came out with a bunch of new flavors for Diet Coke and they're repositioning Diet Coke. And then they came out with Coke, I think it was Coke Zero or Coke Free or something like that. And the whole point is that they did the research and they found out that a lot of men don't like to drink Diet Coke because they feel that means I'm on a diet and being on a diet is sissy. Yeah. So that's why they came out with, this is zero calorie cola. Like Pepsi came out with Pepsi Max. And it's just Diet Pepsi, only it's in a black thing and it's Diet Pepsi Max.
Yeah.
And it's
for
geared.
Men.
Yeah, but they don't even say for men. They just go, it's the most manly cola ever. That's the whole point. That's for men who don't want to be as fat as they used to, but they're trying to against deal. But if the PepsiCo person would have sat there and went, yeah, men are stupid because they're worried that people think they're gay if they drink Diet Coke, so we can't do that. So we're coming out with Coke Zero, which is essentially Diet Coke, but for men who don't want anyone to think that they're less than masculine for drinking a diet soda. So guess what? You're getting marketed to, but it goes back to this, and always remember this, Alex. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold.
Right.
People don't know that they're always being marketed to. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to come back with Teacher of Merit, and we're going to be reviewing and having a new segment that we're going to have periodically called Fresh Eyes, in which Alex reviews something from the past that maybe she wasn't completely familiar with, and she'll probably just take a giant dump all over it. Again, it's the Mike Sasson Show live at www.riversedgepgh.com or on Facebook Live. We will be right back.
Come on, go! It's green! Come on! Go!
God damn it, Brian. You need to calm down
Yeah,
with
I'm
the road
sick of
rage.
these people, these assholes.
The road rage, man. You gotta calm down on the road rage.
Well, I want to get to where we're going. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Falling Water,
Bicycle heaven.
the mattress factory,
Tuck knob.
Trundle Manor. All right, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Come on,
right,
come on.
right.
Too late now.
Right, come on.
Well, too late now. You know, I gotta keep going. I'm not gonna sit here like some asshole.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, you're listening to the Culture Cruise. You can find us at riversedgepgh.com.
Your local Pittsburgh area museum podcast.
Yes, riversedgepgh.com, and come take a ride with us.
You're listening
Hi,
to the
I'm
Mike
Rob.
Sasson Show on the River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com or on TuneIn Radio or on one of the several podcast formats, either iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. My name's Mike Sasson. That is producer extraordinaire Alex Clemens. And right now, we will be reviewing our educational system, which is why America is ranked in the top 3 of educational systems in North America with Teacher of Merit. Before we introduce this week's Teacher of Merit, Alex, what do you know about the country of Australia?
Not very much.
Okay, do you realize that it's at least a country?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, because apparently a person who
Someone
is
told me that once.
an adjunct professor for Southern New Hampshire University needs to be schooled on this. So there was a woman who lives in Idaho who's trying to get a degree from Southern New Hampshire University, which is like one of those University of Phoenixes or whatever, like the online universities, which are great. You know, you're trying to, you work all day, you don't have you can't go off to school for, 8 hours a day, so you're trying to get your degree. So she was assigned a project by the teacher to study the societal norms of another country. So she picks Australia. She says, I'm going to write and does the research on social media uses in Australia. She submits it, gets back a 0, an F. And the teacher sits there and goes, how the heck can you write a project about a country that doesn't exist? Australia is a continent. And the woman's like, no, it's a country, and sends the Google link to saying, like, here's the link to the government, and they have a prime minister, and they have, like, a capital. They're a country. 2 weeks later, the teacher was like, yeah, you're right. Australia is a country.
I did my homework
And I'm just
for
like-
2 weeks.
This really takes a giant dump on Southern New Hampshire University that, by the way, fired the professor. But how do you even get to a level of being a professor when you're not aware that Australia is a country?
I think it would be pretty easy to get to that level, honestly, without knowing that.
Do you? Okay, I mean, like, okay, you're a graduate of the prestigious The Point Park University.
Yeah, no one's ever asked me if I knew that Australia was a country.
How do you? There's so many Australians, and like most of the men that you sit there and go, he's scrumptious, are like from Australia.
Yeah, but I'm never like,
But you had to assume it's a country.
I don't have to assume anything. I mean, I feel like I could live my life the same way if I thought differently. Right?
Okay, maybe you should be a producer, not a producer, but a teacher or a producer at Southern New Hampshire University, because this one got fired, which is why they are this week's Teacher of Merit. So thank you very much. You'll be getting your t-shirt as soon as we get enough money together to send it to Australia. Now, we start a new segment, and do we even have a song that we'll play for it? It doesn't even matter. Just pick a song.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds.
Alrighty.
Pick 1 through 5.
3.
Oh, I didn't even listen to you. I don't care.
Okay, this is a new segment called Fresh Eyes. I thought of this because Saturday was on my timeline that 40 years ago, this past Saturday.
40 years.
40 years
Back
ago.
in the good old days.
Back in the good old days, in February of 1978, a band came out of Southern California called Van Halen. And so they released their first album, which now is known as Van Halen 1. But obviously they hadn't come out with Van Halen 2 yet, so at the time it was just called Van Halen. So you're showing the album cover right there, and that was actually shot at the Whiskey A Go Go, and it was an incredible hit. Running with the Devil, Jamie's Crying, their cover of the Kinks, You Got Me. It's incredible, possibly one of the 2 or 3 best debut albums of all time. So I've always been.
According to you, or just actual?
I mean, like by
According to everyone else.
sales and by, people that judge things like that, which I think I should be. I should be one of those people that judges things. Anyways, so I'm always interested in Alex in that the fact that she's younger and she maybe isn't as exposed to certain parts of culture that were big maybe when I was a lot younger. And back in the early 80s, Van Halen was, I would say, probably one of the 2 or 3 biggest bands in the world, especially when they had David Lee Roth, the lead singer, who eventually left in 85 and then came back a couple years ago, and they toured and they were immense. They've sold out arenas because the original people were back, even though they didn't have the bass player because they got Eddie Van Halen's bassist. I mean, Eddie Van Halen's son to be the bassist, but that's another story altogether. Anyway, so there were 3 videos that became very famous for Van Halen: Panama, Jump, and Hot for Teacher. So today, for research, I said, Alex, watch these videos and tell me your general thought process after watching the Van Halen for possibly the first time. So first and foremost, before we begin, did you know a lot about Van Halen? Know what it is? Know what,
I know most of their songs because they're played non-stop all the time.
So again, you know that they're like one of the biggest bands in classic rock.
Yeah.
Now, that's a signal to what I believe what her opinion will be of it. Had you ever seen these videos?
No. I don't think I've probably seen clips of them because I would be able to probably pick them out.
Okay.
But I've never seen them fully through, never sat through the long.
Well, let's just take some quick takes. First and foremost, the first one, which was probably the most popular song of them all, Jump. Yeah. What did you think of that one?
That was probably out of the 3 my favorite of them. But if you just cut it down to like 2 minutes, because after that you're kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. You guys are just like crazy jumping around on stage. Like, I like it because you could tell they're having a lot of fun, and I feel like it's a lot more laid back than maybe music videos today. I feel like everyone today is like, oh, you have to do this and this and this and this. And I feel like it was more just like, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want. We're going to jump around on stage and like go crazy. Like, just record it for a while.
Well, a couple things about the 3 videos. Number one, David Lee Roth, the lead singer, directed them all. The initial one, Jump, which was probably the most successful, which ironically was the cheapest. The whole joke was that the entire cost of the video to make was under $1,000.
Yeah.
And most of that was just beer. So, and I think you hit upon one of the things that I think that, like, my opinion of Van Halen is the fact that I view Van Halen the same way as I view, like, a big, like, ice cream sundae.
Yeah.
I know I'm not getting anything, like, I'm not, like, getting, like, it's not like I'm listening to, like, the Beatles. I'm like, you're right, war is wrong. These guys, you're right. The thing that I loved about these guys, especially these 3 videos, is they were really making the point clear that they were living the funnest lives in the world. And as an 8-year-old kid in Pittsburgh watching this, that was cool. You wanted to watch a bunch of guys
who just didn't give a shit,
who knew that they were living the greatest life in the world, and they were having fun. If there's one thing I don't like about current musicians is they want to pretend like they're, I'm a star, I'm an artist, and I'm distraught, and this is so. They were like, nah, dude, you have no idea how much fun we have. We drink the best booze, we have the best women, we do the best drugs, and we know that we have the best jobs in the world.
Yeah.
And I think Jump was one of those. Was like, again, it was a fun song and all that kind of stuff. Now the second one was Panama, which personally I think has the best opening of all time. Like, it's a song that gets right into it. It's a weird song, but again, it's one of those. It's the quintessential showing how big the band is, their backstage, how much money they have, about the great cars and the women. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. What did you think of it?
That wasn't as much of my favorite. I feel like it was really similar to Jump, and just like they're on stage and like doing crazy shit. It was just a little bit more crazy shit, like people hanging from the ceiling and stuff like that. So I was just like, I already got it. I got it.
You got the point that they're just a fun band.
Yeah.
And then the most conceptual one was Hot for Teacher.
So that would never be okay today. That music video would never happen today.
Okay, what part of it? Because if someone maybe has never seen
children and then like mostly naked women.
They weren't naked. They were wearing bikinis.
Mostly. I said mostly naked women. Not completely, but mostly. Very small bikinis.
I don't know where they found these women. One of them was eventually Mrs. Wayne Gretzky, actually.
Really?
Yeah, but they found the women who were the teachers in the Hot for Teacher video were the most insanely perfect women I'd ever seen in my life at that time. Like
when you were 8.
When I was 8 years old, I was like, oh my God,
sense.
those are some perfect women. This is how much people wanted to know that. 20 years later, Howard Stern had on his show a woman who claimed to be the woman from the Hot for Teacher video. Mm-hmm. And she just sat there and Howard was just like, are you she's like, yes, I'm the woman from the Hot for Teacher video. He goes, I don't believe you, because you're a good looking 50-year-old woman, but she was the insanely hot. Tell me something about David Lee Roth. Tell me something. Because at that time, no one had seen someone that insanely hot on there. But I would admit, yeah, that video would not fly.
It would never happen.
Well, I mean, again, it's exploiting women and the fact that they just, they're walking up on stage and they're ripping off their clothes and
it's mostly dudes and then like 2 women very almost naked.
But could you imagine? Okay, you've done a little modeling. You've done a little modeling.
Sure.
Yeah. Imagine your day is, okay, here's what you do. You're gonna wear this skirt. You're going to walk up on this table. There's a bunch of 12-year-old boys around you.
That's the weird thing.
You're going to rip off the dress, and then you're going to dance while they throw confetti at you and, like, hoop and holler.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, I was talking a little while ago about, at my job, we were talking about, like, going into high schools and stuff and, like, talking to them. And I was like, I wouldn't feel weird going into high schools, Like, it's not like I'm that much older than those people, and like I would still probably, I would hit on some high school
No, you
people.
wouldn't. It's amazing how much different 24 is from 17.
But then, like 12-year-olds, like those were young kids. It's not like they were just high school kids, I think that's where it was weird.
Now, had you heard the songs before?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think
times.
What did you think of the songs per se?
I don't really like them. I think because I've heard them way too much and they all kind of like sound pretty similar to me. Mm-hmm. I can see how like they can kind of make you feel like a badass, I guess. Like if you more seeing the music videos, you're like, oh, I want to wear like my leather jacket. I did wear my leather jacket today. Mm-hmm. And like do crazy things and like cocaine and hookers, like not give a shit. But
like they live the life that you described. Like you're talking about like not giving a shit, cocaine, hookers, music, doing whatever you want in life. That in 1984, the Van Halen lived that life.
Yeah, and it's just like but the music still isn't like good to me to where I would want to listen to it all the time. But I also like, it's weird because when I was growing up, like I was very much raised on like 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like that music, and then like my generation of music, and like completely just skipped over the 80s.
Well, I mean, your
like,
parents, your parents listened to a certain music, and then you had now this would be the music that I grew up with. Now, one thing I would say that you can't question, the guitarist Eddie Van Halen was extraordinary in what he did.
I feel like they should definitely move up all of his guitar solos to earlier in the songs, because once I got to that point in the music video, like once you get to the guitar solo, it's usually like 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, like exactly, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'll watch this, but I'm like kind of getting sick of the video already, so maybe we should move this up because I want to see it, but I don't want to be like bored.
But you have to admit he's pretty good at it.
Oh yeah, obviously. I won't deny that.
So overall, what would you say about the 3 videos? Compare the other band that
I didn't hate them.
You didn't hate them. Compare the music between Van Halen and Guns N' Roses. Which one did you like better?
I would rather listen to Van Halen.
Okay, because they're just funner.
Yeah.
You just like they're just a little bit funner and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And a little bit more like, no, I shouldn't say more sexual because they aren't. I don't know.
I would definitely say Guns N' Roses is harder edge. Van Halen was more about, they were the ultimate party band.
They're a little easier to listen to.
Yeah, they were now you saw it in the Panama video, a lot of women in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. You know what type of person you are. You're you're your age, 1982, David Lee Roth, the lead singer. Would you go for that?
I guess, yeah. If he was like, hey, Alex. I'm like, okay. All right.
There you go.
Let's do some crazy shit.
Let's do some. Yeah, I don't want to. You don't want to go backstage and all of a
videos?
sudden he wants to talk to you about like books he read. It's like, no, I'm here for cocaine.
I'm here for the crazy shit.
I'm here for. I don't want to catch the one night where we're all being introspective. I want to hear the craziest crap ever, and I want you to do insanely good stuff. Hey, thank you very much for watching it. Always good stuff. Now we're gonna move on to news and notes.
News and notes.
Play the song.
That's the theme song now.
News and notes. We should get David Lee Roth to do it. By the way, worst David Lee Roth ever, just there.
Yeah, that was bad. Even I know that's bad.
All right. Okay. First off, this week it came out, Quincy Jones had an interview in which the 85-year-old guy who has lived, like, you want to talk about the most interesting man in the world, Quincy Jones could beat him. Because you talk about the people he's hung out with, produced for Frank Sinatra, was the producer of the most successful album of all time, Thriller, We Are the World, producer of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. So, but he's at that age where he just doesn't give a crap. He just says whatever the hell he wants. So I read the interview, and a couple things that he says is he was good friends with mobsters and all that kind of stuff. And he says, flat out, Sam Giancana had JFK killed, which everyone's like, oh, okay. He said Michael Jackson stole some beats from Donna Summers that eventually became like Billie Jean and all this other kind of huge one. Stole some beats and didn't give anybody else credit. Called Michael Jackson Machiavellian. Says music sucks today because producers are only after money and they don't know anything about music, and they have to learn about music because the point of anybody is when you have to build off something, you have to know what they did in the past to build off it. And then one quote he says, as soon as your motivation is money, God leaves the room, which I think is actually a pretty cool thing. But the one thing that everyone was kind of interested in is apparently, like, his friends came up, and one of his friends back in the 70s was Marlon Brando. And the quote he had about Marlon Brando was, yeah, he would fuck anything. He didn't care, man, woman, anything. And then he lays it on that he goes, yeah, he would fuck anything. James Baldwin, Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor, and everyone's like, hold on. Marlon Brando had sex with Marvin Gaye, James Baldwin, and Richard Pryor. And he's like, yeah, he didn't care. Now, this past week after the interview, they talked to Lee Pryor, Richard Pryor's ex, and she was like, yeah, they had sex. They had sex.
What's the big deal?
And her quote, which I thought was the greatest quote in the world, he goes, it was the 70s, drugs were still good, and if you did enough cocaine, you'd fuck a radiator and send it flowers the next morning. But here's the thing about...
That's a good quote.
That's a great quote.
I want to have that on my wall, honestly.
That cocaine's a great drug. Yeah, that'd be a great T-shirt. Like, you talk about you got a lot of... Like, you have, like, the Dalai Lama. That'd be a good quote to tattoo somewhere on you. Yeah, cocaine, you'd fuck a radiator and send it flowers the next morning. Here's my thing that I'm disappointed with. Richard, from the great beyond, you didn't do a bit about it. Why didn't you do a bit? You think about the incredible bit.
It's personal, bro.
Now, did you ever seen a Richard Pryor comedy special? The guy talked about everything. The guy talked about blowing guys. The guy talked about when he lit himself on fire. The guy talked about doing drugs and shooting up his car and doing all this kind of stuff. You had sex with the Godfather, Marlon Brando, and you never talked. if there's one thing where it's like, what would Richard Pryor be doing today? Richard Pryor would have had a special by now in which he would have told the story about when he had sex with Marlon Brando. And he'd have a tattoo that would say, and I bet you he did the bit. Lee Pryor, I bet you, is a very funny woman, but she's not Richard Pryor. I bet you Richard Pryor was like, think about this punchline. Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug. You'd fuck a radiator and send it flowers the next morning if you were high on cocaine. I bet you that he had worked on the bit and everyone was like, dude, you cannot do a bit about having sex with Marlon Brando.
Yeah. I'm just glad it happened and everyone was just like, why are you confused about this? Yeah, it happened. Yeah.
But, okay, it goes back
why
to
is it a big deal?
It goes back to, like, we were talking about Van Halen, about the fun times I had. People think that, like, crazy stuff just started, like, 10 years ago. Bullshit.
Who thinks that?
I don't know, sometimes when, if someone's, like, if 16, 17 years old, they're like, oh, you got to listen to it. Anytime you hear about any sort of human behavior, it's been going on for thousands of years. Okay? It's been going on since Roman times. It's been going. We have invented nothing when it comes to drugs and sex and being weird.
Yeah, it's just that people may not have talked about it.
Which is why
as much as we do now.
Richard, you should have done the bit. Could you imagine? That would have been a bit to where it was just like, how good is your bit? It's pretty good, but it's no like Richard Pryor when he had sex with Marlon Brando bit. That would have become the greatest bit of all time. So eventually, hopefully we all go to the great beyond and we talk to Richard Pryor and we're like, oh yeah, he's done that bit in heaven all day. I'm like, I got to hear that bit. Speaking of some other things that are sexual related somewhat, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition is coming out in the next couple weeks. Now, in the current political climate of, women, their rights and the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff, where does Sports Illustrated fit with all of this? So what they're trying to do is put beautiful women, but let the women bring out their inner personalities while wearing shirts or writing on themselves. Like, for one picture, which picture are you showing right now?
The naked one with the writing on her.
Yeah, so she wrote that. She said, okay, what would you like us to write on there? And she wanted artists and, be together and all this other kind of stuff.
I want to know what the rest of her says. It's like it's a weird that she has all this writing on her body, but you can't read anything but really besides two things.
By the way, Christy Brinkley's daughter.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So apparently Christy Brinkley had an attractive daughter. Who would known that had happened?
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy that happened. It'd be like me having a hairy son. Anyways, but and then the other one, you see the other picture.
Yeah.
And that shirt, just in case I know that you're going blind, it says, a woman doesn't have to be modest in order to be respectful. So that's what the shirt she's wearing that basically is all wetted up so you see your boobs.
I like that shirt.
That's a good shirt.
It's too much to have on a shirt. But I like it.
But you're obviously staring at her boobs, so if you're going to stare at her boobs, then get a
good shirt to go with it.
Get a good message. Get some, feminist message. So, Alex, as a woman, do you feel that this is a good movement by Sports Illustrated, letting the women kind of maybe have a little bit more say but still have a little bit of the sexiness with it and everything like that?
I definitely think it's a good idea because then I feel like they're covering their asses a little bit more because they're like, well, we let our models decide how they want to be seen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So people who would hate on it, it's really not their fault. It's like, oh, well, our models decided this. This is how they feel. They feel beautiful like this.
There you go.
And then everyone's like, huh.
And the guys still get to see, a wet T-shirt on a beautiful model.
Exactly. Everyone wins.
But you'll learn.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we, in terms of when you see strippers or, super cool models or Playboy and all that kind of stuff, you could show the woman be naked, but behind her, sit there and talk about she'd be naked at a Planned Parenthood. I don't know. Whatever's going to happen. She's at a drugstore getting her getting her birth control pills, but she's talking about but she's in a wet T-shirt. Who knows?
Or she teaches a geography lesson while she's stripping.
Yeah, absolutely, and teaches and makes sure everyone knows that Australia is a country.
Yeah, that would be good.
It all works out. Speaking of something that worked out, there's a woman in New Hampshire. She won the Powerball.
Oh my God!
$560 million. But here's her problem. She doesn't want anybody to know that she's the one who won the $560 million. But the New Hampshire Lottery Commission is saying to her, no, you have to tell everybody this.
Yeah.
And because she made one key mistake.
Oh my God, what did she do?
Okay. When you get the ticket, you sign the back. When you sign the back, they have to tell everybody who signed for it. What she could have done is created a trust, which you could do it like any bank or any or a lawyer could do it or whatever like that. And then she could have signed the trust. And
Seems
then,
like a lot to think about when you just won the lottery.
yes. But if anyone ever does win the lottery, create a trust and then sign the name of the trust on the back of the ticket. Because if this is what's kind of a jerk move by the New Hampshire Lottery Commission. They could just change the rule and say, no, you don't have to tell everybody. We'll just call you Jane Doe or John Doe.
I mean, it does seem weird. Like, why do you have to tell everyone?
Because
what's the point?
I think people want to make sure that they tell people that someone actually won.
Oh, so
because,
they're not just like making up.
Yeah, because they could theoretically say, hey, we have a $2 billion jackpot. And then everyone goes, ooh, and they all buy tickets and they go, yeah, someone won. Like, who won? A guy in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole point is like if the guy from New Jersey has to get up in front of cameras and go, yeah, I'm a guy from New Jersey, I have $2 billion now, that keeps it to where it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Which is why they're kind of fighting it. But again, the way you get around that is just sign the back of the check and say, hey, in trust, and then name your trust. You could be the
Cocaine and hookers.
Cocaine and hooker trust.
Yeah.
I could be the Van Halen trust, whatever. And then everyone goes and talks to Van Halen. There you go. Speaking of money, Floyd Mayweather, the big-time boxer who made something like $300 million the last time he boxed.
Yeah, why not? Because what's he doing?
Yeah, and
Just boxing and things.
He got a Bugatti, nice car. Do you know how much that car is?
$3 million?
You know why? Because that's what I put underneath the description.
I just guessed that.
$3.3 million for that car.
No.
How nervous would you be if you were the passenger in that car?
I wouldn't want to be anything in that car because I wouldn't want to drive that car. I would drive it like 2 miles an hour and still be so anxious.
Yeah, I couldn't. Like, imagine like he's like, hey, let's go get a burger. No.
No, I wouldn't. No, don't eat anything in this car.
I'd be afraid to fart.
Yeah.
If you fart, that movie, like you just lowered the value of this car by $1 million.
I think just me getting in the car and just like anything from your body would like ruin the car.
It's a piece of art. $3 million.
No.
But okay, now here's the other thing which is interesting, and I didn't put this, so you have to guess.
Okay.
How much does it cost to get the oil changed in that car?
$30,000.
Close. $25,000 to get an oil change.
Guesser.
And 4 new tires. $35,000.
I mean, but like, why would you get it? You probably wouldn't even need an oil change because, like, you're probably never driving that shit around.
No, he drives it to get burgers at McDonald's. He's a nutso.
Did he put that? Did he say that?
I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but he is a nutso. But I mean, again, $3.3 million for a car.
I want that car to fucking fly if I'm gonna pay that much money for it.
It better break the sound barrier. It better go back in time.
Yeah.
It better,
It like creates bridges, like fake bridges that only you can drive on.
It does the Superman thing from Superman 1 when you can go backwards and go back in time and save Lois Lane. Mm-hmm. That's what it does.
Yeah.
What could a car do besides go fast that's worth $3 million?
See, if I could live in my car, sure, I'd pay $3 million for it. I wouldn't do that, but that would be more of a reason for me. But or if it was I could live in it, it was a car and it also flew. Totally worth $3 million.
You realize the reason we do have everyone who talks about, oh, why don't we have flying cars? The reason why we don't have flying cars is not because the technology isn't available. It's because it would be a giant clusterfuck of people trying to fly all over the place, crashing into each other, crashing into buildings. Can you imagine if like every doofus in the world had a flying car?
We can't even figure out how to drive, let alone fly.
Which is why what people don't get, and I'm gonna blow your mind right now, Alex.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole Google Maps thing. Eventually, when it becomes to where like the Uber thing, where you don't, you have driverless cars, then we'll get the flying cars. Because you'll sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to school. The car will fly, but you don't fly it.
Right.
You just sit there and then whatever.
Yeah.
That's how it'll work.
Ooh, my mind really was blown.
Yeah,
there,
but
Mike.
it's all being connected. No one understands that the whole Uber driverless car thing is eventually going to get us flying cars. Imagine if, like, that's what's going to work. Being like you, but by the time you're a grandma, you'll be able to get in your car, get shit faced, take all the old lady pills that they give you, and no one will care because you're not crashing into anything because the car will just fly for itself.
Yeah.
And then think about the fact that, like, okay, how long did it take to drive to the Poconos?
5.5 hours.
Now it takes like 8-10 minutes.
Yeah.
You live in the Poconos. Your sister could live in Tokyo. It's like a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, but then like we don't get any road trips anymore.
Yeah, it's all sky trips. Yeah. Well, again, that'll be one of the things that you tell your granddaughters about. Like, man, back in my day, we went on road trips, and we all respected life. I don't know what that would happen. I'm a terrible impression of you being old.
When I'm a grandma, I'm just gonna have my hot younger husband drive me around.
Speaking of hot younger husbands, this is actually a story.
Is it?
So, I don't even know if I put the picture in, but the picture of the old dude and the young chick.
Yeah.
Okay, that they're actually married.
Aw.
So here's what happened. A British university did a study of who are the happiest in terms of couples when it comes to age. They found that women are happier when their husbands are 10 to 15 years older than them for the first 10 years of marriage. But then after 10 years, on average, they're less satisfied than if they were the same age as their husbands. Which kind of makes sense, I guess, because if let's say you're a 25-year-old and you're marrying a 40-year-old dude, you're getting more of a finished product dude. So you're like, hey, this is great. It's like I'm getting a trained dog, you know? But then eventually when the dude becomes like 50, 55, and he's just like, hey, I'm
You're
55.
like, holy fuck, this dude's old.
Yeah. And then you're like in your 30s and you're like, wait, I want to still do cocaine and hookers. And you're like, I'm 55. Let's just sit here and read quietly. And now you're like, this sucks. So apparently that's what this British institution thought.
Are you just trying to bring up these things in hopes of getting a young wife?
No.
'Cause last week we talked about how people who marry taller guys are happier, and also people who marry older men are happier
Yes,
for at least a little while. So
Yeah. So I'm
I
saying,
feel like you're just trying to like market yourself a little bit.
here's what I'm trying to say, ladies. I'm the perfect man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm the absolute definition of what masculinity should be. And the fact that no woman realizes it is really frustrating.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, the picture that they had is, I'm being honest, kind of creepy.
Super cute.
The dude totally looks like her dad. It's so creepy.
I don't think it's that creepy. I think they're nice together.
But it does. Okay, if that was your girlfriend and that was her new husband, there would be a part of you that'd be like, that kind of looks like your dad.
Well, I wouldn't. No. No, I don't think so. It's just that I don't know if I'd want to like hang out with them.
Okay.
You know? Mm-hmm. Like if you're hanging out and it's just like, oh, me and my boyfriend that's my same age, and then you and, your 50-year-old husband. Seems like we might have some different interests.
Well, one thing which was interesting, and I highly recommend this. David Letterman just did his second Netflix interview, and it was George Clooney. And I didn't know this. George Clooney got married. I knew that. But he was talking about when he met the woman who eventually became his husband, her wife. I don't know how it works. He sat there and he goes, I didn't know if you'd want to go out with me. And like David Letterman's like, you're George Clooney. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, she was 17 years younger than me.
I thought you were going to say she's 17 years old.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was.
Oh
No,
my
she's
God,
like
George
she's like a
Clooney.
she's like a lawyer she's like a human rights lawyer. She's like really accomplished.
How nice.
All right. 17 years. So that's basically, that'd be you. That'd be you're 24. That's 34. Okay. So it's like a 42, 43-year-old dude.
Yeah.
George Clooney, 43 years old. You going for it?
Oh my God.
Well, okay. Paul Rudd's like what, 45, 46?
Yeah, but he's married,
Okay, but he gets divorced.
Yes.
He's available. He makes a movie here. He's 46 years old. So you'd go out with
mine.
Okay, that's 20-something years.
Taking him.
But then when you're like 40 and you're still, the go-getter chick and you want to go drinking, he's in his 60s.
Well, see, I feel like you just have to have someone who doesn't get to that point. Like they are always like young at heart. Not like childish, but someone who is still willing to like have a good time even when they're like 60, you know?
Here'd be
and
the
like
key. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here'd be the key. The guy's got to be really into working out. He can't be one of those guys that's in his 30s and 40s and he's still like, yeah, I don't like working. If he's in his 30s and his 40s and he's consistently working out, then he's got a shot by the time he's in his 60s to be still active. Because if not, then by the time he's in his 50s or 60s, he's taking naps in the middle of the day.
as long as he works out and doesn't shove it in my face. You know, he's not like...
It being the fact that he exercises.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're just trying to describe what it was.
Yeah.
But
No.
he can do that. But no. But okay. So Paul Rudd, he has to work out. He's like a Hollywood Hollywood
I
guy.
think that's like required.
But
It's
okay,
in
but
all
if
of
he
their
goes and works
contracts.
out, you're just going to sit at home and just be kind of like, hey, I'll just eat these, Doritos and you can go do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm not at that point yet where I have to do those things.
Okay, but do you
know?
feel you eventually will be? Like,
Yes.
Okay, you know that eventually if you want to keep the heavenly figure.
If I want to keep being alive, really,
Yeah, you got to start working
gotta
out.
start working out.
But okay, what age outside of the Paul Rudds? Tell the dude, what's the age where if a guy says, I am blank, you're still like, okay, I'm cool with it.
Am I marrying them?
No, it's just like he's in a bar or.
Like, are we
Okay,
go
it's
on
on
a couple
Tinder.
dates?
You're Tinder. You're going up there and he writes swipes and he looks good. It doesn't have the age, and then eventually you start communicating. You go, oh, so where do you work or whatever? How old are you? And it comes out he is blank. What's the oldest where you're like, that's too old?
I would say 50.
50's too old. He's 48. You're like, let's rock.
No, I'm saying like 50 would still be okay. Like,
Okay.
so you're saying too old?
Yeah.
I don't like 53. I think that's-
52, you're still good.
Yeah.
53, you're like,
But
all
only
right.
if they're like really good looking. I'm not just going for any 50.
I like Brad
not
Pitt's-
like Joe Schmo from
Well, Brad
Braddock.
Pitt's in his, yeah. Well, first and foremost, Joe Schmo from Braddock when he's 53 years old is probably not the most appealing human being in the world.
I'm not going for him.
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay, if he's, got a cool job and he still works out and he still hangs out and he's still cool, yeah.
He's a silver fox.
Yeah. There you go.
Got my dilfs out there.
I'm trying to figure out the youngest that I would consider not insanely creepy. It would have to be post college. I couldn't go with anything when you're still in college.
Yeah.
I guess 23, 24 would be the
Yeah, it is
youngest.
creepier when you talk about it
Yeah.
than like anyone else, I think.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
But I think it is creepier like coming from the guy's point of view. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, like me, I'm just like, oh yeah, like he's 50. It's just he's just older. But if it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a 50-year-old guy
And I'm
trying
going
to
out with
get
a 24.
20-year-old, yeah, it's a lot creepier
How
sounding.
old is your mom and dad?
How old are they?
Yeah.
They're in their late 50s. But my dad's 60 now.
Okay, so your dad. Imagine your dad's response if you brought home a man who possibly could be only about 7-8 years younger than he is.
Maybe they would be best friends.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's say it is. That's how you
I
met.
just got a new friend.
But that's how you met.
Yeah.
He knew him. He's a buddy. He works
That's
with
like
him.
friends on friends. That
Yeah.
happens.
That's right. But again, you're saying the G-Dilf. You're saying Tom Selleck is a go. He's in his 70s.
Yeah, that's what literally the thing that happens on Friends. Tom Selleck is that guy.
And you're saying if it's Tom Selleck and he's 52 years old, it's go
yeah.
time.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Tom Selleck now, how old is he?
71.
Still okay.
I don't think you're marrying him, but you
No, I wouldn't marry
Yeah,
him.
you're definitely
He'd be
taking
dead by the time we got married.
Yeah, you're definitely taking a ride on that mustache, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Awesome.
This
We
is
got some more
a lot of-
information.
yeah.
And for the first 10 years of the Paul Rudd, Alex Clemens union, it's going to be awesome.
No, that's forever.
Oh, okay. Now, one interesting point about the George Clooney interview, which was kind of like a eureka moment. He admitted that he tells a story that his freshman year in high school, he had Ball's palsy or whatever, like when like half his face was like paralyzed.
Yeah.
And it makes it look like you had a stroke and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so
I don't think it's called Ball's palsy.
I don't know, Bell's palsy or something. I don't know. My dad had it actually. What is
Yeah.
weird. But whatever, who cares? The thing where half your face looks like it's like all strokey. Anyways, so David Letterman asked him, he goes, well, how that had to be terrible when you were a freshman in high school. I mean, imagine you're a freshman and you're in high school, half your face
Yeah.
is whatever. And he sat there and goes, yeah, I just had to make fun of it. And I think it's the way you develop a personality. And I'm just like, that's it. Everyone always made the comment that George Clooney's like, oh, you know, he's so charming and he's so funny and he's all this stuff. And I always kind of fought it. Like, dude, this guy's been great looking his whole life. There's no way he has a personality and he's funny. But that's the point. At some point, he had to develop the personality. So again, ladies, if you want to find a great looking guy that's got the A-level personality, you got to find a guy that when he was 14 years old, half his face was paralyzed. You have to find that guy because at that point, that's when you develop the personality, which also goes back to the why attractive people have no personalities.
Oh.
If you've been attractive your whole life, you have no chance to have a personality. At some point, you had to have developed the ability to entertain people with one's ability to talk.
Okay.
You disagree with that completely?
No.
You're just saying I'm talking too
Sure.
much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Want to talk Van Halen?
Are you saying
some more?
I don't have a personality then?
No, I'm saying you're not attractive. No.
I always say, oh, I was so ugly when I was a child. And you're like, no, you weren't.
That's how I sounded. I was. No, okay, do again the Mike impression.
No, that was it.
I think it was.
Something like that. That's how your voice sounds in my head. But like, if you screamed that, basically.
Okay, and I have said I've looked at pictures of you as a 12-year-old. In the worlds of 12-year-olds, you were not a bad-looking 12.
Yeah,
I'd admit that.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest,
Like
I'll look
checking
at
out 12-year-olds all the time.
Yeah, that's all I do. Anyways, I will say this though: as a 12-year-old, I pretty much look like this without the beard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You've seen pictures.
Yep. Exactly
and
like that.
I looked exactly like this, except no
I honestly
pictures.
thought you did have the beard.
Yeah. I didn't have a beard until recently, until about maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
Never had the beard.
But you could have probably grown it when you were 12.
It'd have been very patchy, not thick and full like it is right now.
Right.
Anyways, let's move on. Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall, they really got their ires up. Like they really got there because Kim Cattrall's brother passed away this past weekend. So Sarah Jessica Parker, via her Instagram, put out and said, "Hey, I sent a shout out to Kim Cattrall. I'm so sorry about your loss and all this kind of stuff." And this is what Kim Cattrall wrote back. "My mom asked me today, when will that Sarah Jessica Parker," and tagged her in the message, "that hypocrite leave you alone? Your continuous reaching out is a painful reminder of how cruel you really were, and then and now. Let me make this very clear if I haven't already. You are not my family. You are not my friend. So I'm writing to tell you one last time to stop exploiting our tragedy in order to restore your nice girl image." Copy and paste link, basically. So no more Sex in the City sequels.
Sarah Jessica Parker is looking old, so I feel like they just shouldn't do it anyways.
Yes, but that's pretty brutal to go.
That is pretty brutal.
To go.
It's like, oh, okay, I just shouldn't have said anything at all. I just shouldn't have cared. If I didn't say anything, someone would have said something too.
Yeah, so again, Sarah Jessica Parker's in a bad spot because
Yep.
if she doesn't say something publicly, then everyone's like, "Oh my God, what an
Why
evil."
doesn't she care?
Yeah, what a bad person. But she just says, "Hey, I feel for you." And then Kim Cattrall just has to come out guns a-blazing, saying that more or less you're just a horrible person.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, in terms of Sex in the City, does the fact that they in real life are this much enemies, does it hurt the show? Like if you found out that the friends hated each other, it'd be tough to watch the show.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that you watching this and they're like, oh, girl power, and they're all together, the fact that you know that this is their actual opinion of each other really makes it to where it's like, I don't know,
Too many females on the show. That's what you get.
Okay. that's there you go. Women just can't get along. Anyways, quick one. Weed. Legal.
That's it. Okay,
in
bye.
California, illegal in Colorado. They have the numbers. 2017 in Aspen, Colorado, for the first time, weed sales in terms of dollar value were higher than alcohol.
What?
Which that reason pinpoints completely why they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep weed illegal.
Yeah.
Because if you take a look at the two products, if they were just a product that came out today, one was alcohol, one was weed. Weed is safer. Weed is not habit forming.
Right.
You can't smoke too much of it and die.
Yeah.
Weed would be the one everyone would be like, yeah, I do that instead of this. Do you know so you just got this was the first salvo. Eventually weed's going to be legal, but I'll tell you right now, the alcohol companies are going to fight tooth and nail for this.
Hell yeah.
Now, this is the final story of the day. Simon Louise and Mary Emanuel were two people in England, man and woman, who were friends. They had, gone out a couple times, and they were like Jerry and Elaine, whatever. Mary eventually had a medical issue, had needed a kidney transplant. Simon, being the great guy that he is, gives her one of his kidneys.
Aw.
Afterwards, after the surgery, when they're both, back to, full strength, whatever, Simon says, you know what? I've always had a soft spot in my heart for you. I care about you so much. We've been given a new lease on life. I'd really like to marry you. And what do you think her answer was?
Nah, son.
Nope, not at all. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, that's so cruel. That's like the ultimate friend zoned. And, you can't, he gave her a kidney and all this other kind of stuff. But here's my point. If a woman gave me a kidney who wasn't and I wasn't sexually turned on by her and we're just friends, and then after the kidney, she's like, you know what? I really think we should get married. And I'm just like,
Also,
no, I'm still not. No, I don't. We're friends. Thank you very much for the kidney, but I don't feel that I have to marry you.
that's like a really big step. He couldn't have been just like, hey, I've had feelings for you. I like you.
Yeah.
They're just like, all right, maybe we'll try this out. Not just like, oh, let's get married.
So
I
you're
feel like
saying
that's
he
a
went
huge
too
step. Yeah,
you're
he
saying
went
went
too far, too fast.
Too far. But I think he felt that the whole giving of the kidney and kind of being.
He was just emotional. He's really, really excited about this new life. Mm-hmm. He didn't really. Honestly, his life is a little shorter now, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel like he should be that excited.
Yeah.
He's excited for her though, so that's nice.
If a guy friend of yours gave you an organ, would you feel as though that okay?
We should get married
we should
now.
maybe get married.
I maybe if they're like, hey, I like you, Alex, be like, maybe be more inclined to give them a chance.
Give them a chance, not a marry.
Yeah,
but
not getting married, but I would give you a shot.
Give you a shot.
That's all you gotta do to win me over. Give me a kidney.
That's it, fellas. Out there, you're always talking about how much you're infatuated with Alex. How are your organs currently?
I think they're okay. Haven't been to the doctor in a while.
I will be honest with you. Gonna need a new liver someday.
Someday.
Pretty soon. The way she drinks.
I don't know. Maybe my kidneys too. My kidneys have never liked me very much.
Really?
So maybe just give me some.
Okay.
Give me yours.
Yeah, but
not
don't
you,
even,
Mike.
Not me.
I don't want
Mine
your
are terrible.
kidneys, yeah.
Mine would be huge. My kidneys are probably the size of they would be half your body. I have grown giant man kidneys. I don't know how.
Are your organs bigger?
I don't know. I think my heart would probably be bigger.
That's a good question.
I don't know. We should
Someone
get medical
tell us.
degrees and find out.
No.
No. We shot that one down.
Unless I'm going to be a sex doctor.
Hi-yo. We're going to leave with that. Now, the final segment of the day, which it's going to probably be pretty short because of the technical difficulties. Comment your ass off. Comment your ass off, Alex.
Say hello to the world. Say hello to
Let's see who commented.
There you go.
Jeremy. He's all of our comments.
Good.
He said, hi, Alex. I said, hi, Jeremy.
There you go.
He said, I'm glad I finally watched this. Watch this. You're really good. He was talking to me, just so you know.
Yeah, I know.
I know him.
Yeah.
He knows me, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, my God. She's good at something besides being pretty.
There you go.
He said, when we were talking about Amy Schumer's movie, and I said, how could they make a whole movie about this? He said, Shallow Hal. Basically, kind of.
Yeah, it is. I would say it is kind of redundant. It's the whole point of you hit your head and you change it. Which I didn't think Shallow Hal was that good either.
No, it wasn't. That's one of those movies you watch once and you're like, okay, and then you never watch ever again.
And then they had to have Gwyneth Paltrow in it in a comedy, and I'm just like,
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it was Jack Black and.
I remember it was Jack Black. That's all I
remember.
remember.
And then Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit.
Oh.
Yeah, because they couldn't actually get a heavier woman to actually be in the movie.
Yeah.
They had to put Gwyneth Paltrow, the skinniest, most pretentious, most Hollywood insider woman on the planet Earth, to be the overweight woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. And it also had the guy with the big teeth, just move on. He was the guy who was the God dang it.
Just move on, but I'm gonna keep guessing.
I'm gonna keep guessing.
That's it.
The guy with the motivational speaker guy.
That's it. We're
Okay.
good.
All right.
We're done.
Good.
Let's please end this show.
Yes. That's what they kept on saying on the comments.
Everyone's commenting like, God damn, just end it already.
And that's what mostly people say to me in general, not even about the show. They just say,
Please
Mike,
stop.
just stop. Just
Just
end.
everything that you're doing.
Yeah. You know who would have said that yesterday at Stand Up Get Down? Guess who was a good percentage of the audience?
Women.
No, not even just women. Girls who were celebrating a Sweet 16.
That's so weird. Why is that what you're doing for your Sweet 16? Do something better. Be better people.
No, watch me
Like,
do
who
comedy.
does that? Who does that?
I don't know.
That's really weird.
Well,
Go, drink, a shit ton of Mountain Dew and, steal alcohol from your parents and,
Is that what you did on
cocaine
your
and
Sweet
hookers.
16?
I don't even remember my 16th birthday.
Yeah,
so
that's how screwed up you were.
there you go.
You're
Yeah.
listening to Van Halen doing coke.
I really don't remember my 16th birthday. I'm going to assume it was pretty shitty. But I'm going to assume that I maybe got drunk.
Okay. Wow. On the Sweet 16, not like that show where they have the worst people in the world on that Sweet 16. That
Yeah, I
MTV
didn't
show.
I didn't drive into my big ballroom in a limo and, guys carry me out of the limo. That didn't happen.
I hope to someday make a good amount of money. And if my daughter was that kind of woman to where she was just like, Daddy, I want to have the original cast of Friends give me a giant birthday cake, and then burst out of it would be a brand new Range Rover, and I'd just be like, it was totally not worth it for me to work this hard to make this much money.
See, I would want to have a huge party, but it would be a really fucking good party.
Even at 16, you were into cocaine and hookers.
Yeah.
But that'd have been cool. I'd be cool with my daughter doing that. But my problem is I don't want her to be just a pretentious, stuck-up little, spoiled little biatch who's sitting there going like, oh, I don't get that's the wrong Range Rover. Now my party's ruined.
Oh, yeah.
That's terrible. I could feel so bad for the parents who make that much money, and they're like, I'm sorry, dear. It's like, you're supposed to helicopter in sync, and you couldn't get Justin Timberlake, and I hate you. And I'm just like, if you're a parent, you just officially have to sit there and look at your spouse and be like, we created the worst child ever.
Yeah.
Which none of our parents did. They created amazing children.
They did.
Yes, and next week we're going to prove it again on the Mike Sasson Show. Again, thank you to everybody who listens. Thank you to everybody who watches. Thank you to Alex, the greatest producer in the history of the world. Again, first ballot Hall of Famer in the Internet Radio Hall of Fame, which is currently outside of a Denny's in St. Paul, Minnesota. We will be back next week, and you will continue to listen to The River's Edge at www.riversedgepgh.com. Good luck with everything you try in life. And remember, Tom Brady has lost 3 Super Bowls. Life is good. See you next week.